Hey everyone. I think we are good. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Instagram. What else? It's the first show of the new year. Sounds good on Facebook. Thank you, Ashley. Should we just jump into this? Let's just get moving. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back to the Weeks in Review at Sinclair Range. Today is January 9, 2026. And before I get started, as we wait for people to join the live stream, I want to do a shout out, a tribute to Scott Adams. Scott Adams, the author, the Dilbert cartoonist, the live streamer, podcaster. I think I've told you, excuse me, if you've listened to my content before, that I've listened to Scott Adams' 1 hour live stream every morning since 2016. 2016, I've been listening to this 365 days a year. I did the math for us. That is, if you played it back to back, that would be 4.5 months of uninterrupted content. It's a lot of content he puts out. And people think that Scott Adams' content is about politics and specifically supporting Trump. It's not about that. And but because they think that, there's a lot of love for the show and there's a lot of hate for the show. And because they are blinded by the political framing that they've put on Scott's content, what they're missing is that the show in reality uses current events, politics, leadership as a backdrop to teach persuasion-based framing. That's really what it's about. It teaches about persuasion-based framing in a current context so that it's interesting, so that it's relevant to the day, and he has our attention. It's not about politics. It just uses that as a backdrop. It teaches persuasion-based framing, as I said, it teaches us that is highly predictive, which is an indication of truth. If you can look at a set of events, you can think you could understand it, and then you can say to yourself, hey, I know what's going to happen next, tomorrow, or 6 months down the road. If you can predict, and that prediction becomes true, then maybe your framing on that set of events is an accurate framing. And if what you think is going to happen never happens, except the odd time by coincidence, then maybe your framing isn't doing what it should be doing. He also makes, if you have the right persuasion framing on it, the right persuasion filter at a set of what otherwise would appear to be unrelated facts or things that don't make sense, you can all of a sudden make sense of the entire picture. I've learned that exact lesson in business, right? Through a negotiation, through, trying to deal with a troubled and highly stressful situation. When a certain set of facts looks to me like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? This makes no sense at all. Everybody's going to lose. We're going to lose. They're going to lose. Don't they see that they're going to lose? But if I have my persuasion filter on, I can often see, oh, wait a minute. I know what's happening. These guys are trying to, covertly sell us on this or that sort of strategy. Here's the real motivation there. I can see the persuasion once you learn about the persuasion filter, which Scott and that podcast have definitely taught me. Obviously, he has not taught me how to speak, however, apparently. It is the first show of the new year. Give me a break. Obviously, that is a powerful skill to have in your business and in your life. And in addition to that persuasion filter, and obviously teaching us about persuasion in general, we get the micro lessons and the techniques of persuasion. Persuasion concepts such as the power of framing. He has a famous one. It's not relevant to me really, but he's had many people phone in, email in, whatever, contact him in the DMs in the live chat and say, hey, I stopped drinking because of you, Scott Adams. They quit alcohol. Why? Because his framing was alcohol is poison. And thank you for those that are just joining us. I'm just doing a shout out. Hey, Catherine, thanks for joining us on Instagram. Just doing a shout out to Scott Adams while we wait for people to join us here. So he says alcohol is poison. That's his framing. Now, that's not factually true. But that's the point of persuasive framing. It doesn't matter if it's true. It matters if it creates a click run type of feature in your brain. And it worked for many, many people. People just adopted that framing and they just stopped drinking. Attention. He taught us about attention being the first rule of persuasion. If nobody's listening to you, then you can't persuade anybody. Attention, first rule of persuasion, which is why his live stream is about current events, using that as a backdrop, because that's where the attention is, specifically current events that are brought to the top of Twitter/X. He's taught about communicating in a visual manner to be persuasive. Build the wall. That's visual. You can picture that in your head. You may not like it, but it is visual. He's taught about repetition, how to pace and lead, the concept of reciprocation in persuasion, and hundreds of more lessons that go along with that. He's also taught me, and I think thousands of others, maybe tens of thousands of others, about the simple rules. Beyond the simple rules of persuasion, he's taught about things like dedication, work ethic. I don't think this guy missed a single live stream since I started listening to him at the very beginning on Periscope in 2016. Weekends, holidays, Christmas. He was live streaming from his honeymoon on the beach. He never missed a day. Dedication. Yet I can't seem to consistently get a half hour, 45-minute week in review show out the door for you because I'm too busy. I'm too busy. So I have a lot of appreciation for that. I've learned so much from Scott. Scott is right now, as we speak, dying of cancer. He appears to have days, maybe weeks at best, left. He's still live streaming from palliative care. He's been live streaming. It's been too hard for me to listen to be honest with you. I don't like that. I'm not good at that sort of stuff. So I've had a hard time listening to that, but he's there, he's doing it. And yesterday was going to be his last live stream ever. But then it wasn't. Today he was back on and he had a bunch of people on live with him. He brought in some audience members to talk about how he has changed and influenced their life. And there's many people that would line up for that sort of conversation. So anyways, thank you to Scott Adams. There's my tribute. While we wait for people, you guys can go buy his books. That would be a nice thing to do. I think because the live stream podcast, which is available on all media that you're listening to, it's all current event stuff. So I think it would be hard to go back to the beginning and learn those lessons, but it's all in his books and they do deeper dives in that. All right, there we go. We've got some people that have joined us now. Let's get started. Welcome everybody to the Week in Review at Sinclair Range. My name is Scott Sinclair. I'm owner, president, founder of Sinclair Range. And the mission here is to provide you some insight in the goings on of SRI, Sinclair Range. It's your window into real deals, decisions, day-to-day business adventures. And we have our usual segments, lessons learned of the week, interesting file, deal of the week, struggles of the week, and my musings for every week, the observation. Let me tell you about my week before Christmas. Do you mind if I do that? I left because we haven't had a show since then. On one day, I left my hometown in southern British Columbia near the Alberta border, and I started in my my pickup truck because I wanted just because that's what I drive. I'm not going to make an excuse for having my nice pickup truck. And I drove north in the most horrible driving winter conditions, whiteouts, couldn't see anything, had to crawl to zero, wind, horrible wind, black ice, cars crashed all over the place. And I drove from my place to Red Deer, Alberta, because I had a meeting there on a chief restructuring officer CRO gig. Sinclair Range does CRO work where you step into a company and try to save the day effectively. There were multi-car pileups. There was highway closures. I had to be rerouted through a detour, but the police didn't tell you where to go. They were just not letting you drive on that section of the highway. I was in a traffic jam on some farming back road, gravel, covered in ice. We were stopped dead, and the wind was so strong, the truck was sliding sideways while stopped dead in park. It was insane. I got through that. I got to Red Deer. I had my meeting, and then I continued on north to Edmonton, where I had a dinner meeting. So my entire trip that day was from my hometown to Edmonton to have a dinner meeting. Sorry, I just having pop-ups. I need to close here. To have a dinner meeting was 582 kilometers. 582 kilometers at, a crawling speed. Had my dinner, stayed over in Edmonton, got up the next day. I was on to Peers, Alberta. I think it's spelled P-E-R-S, Alberta, because I've told you before about Sapphire and Global Finance and how that's a new company in the Calgary area that Sinclair Range represents. And we're doing debtor and possession loans and private credit to businesses. And this is such a fantastic initial deal for Sapphire. And it went into a company called Sirona Pharma. And I can tell you that because this is all public information and is a financing within the context of a CCAA, Companies Creditors Arrangement Act, which means it's a court process, like a Chapter 11 in the US. And so we provided a debtor in possession financing. Sinclair Range is also the CRO on for Sirona on the other side of that trade, if I could put it that way. But I had never seen the facility. So I stopped by there. This is a 130,000 square foot indoor cannabis grow facility. So impressive, so cool. And I believe that's the largest in Canada. I believe, in fact, I'm certain it's the largest in Canada, but it's also, I think, the second largest indoor grow facility in the world. And I don't mean indoor in a greenhouse. I mean in an actual building, or in this case, a series of buildings. So I stopped there. I did a tour. I met the people, had a meeting, and then I moved on from there to Grand Prairie, Alberta, where another CRO gig, interim executive gig. I wanted to stop, meet the people, see the facility. And then I went on from there that day to Fort St. John, British Columbia. Now we are way up in oil patch country here. We're up where it never gets dark. And that was yet another assignment in the CRO nature of things. So that entire day was 661 kilometers. So in total, in 2 days, I've done about 1,200K one way, multiple meetings, horrible weather, ice storms, the whole deal. Had my meeting there and then came back the whole way the next 2 days. Stopped for Christmas shopping and got home in time for Christmas with the family. When you're building a business, when you're changing momentum, and remember, that's what this show is about. We are rebuilding, I am, and the team around me who are fantastic, rebuilding Sinclair Range. I'm going to talk more about that later, but that is the whole point of this show. You may remember that I was sick and came out of that and launched this week in review so we could share the journey going forward. When you do that, you have to work. You have to be dedicated. You have to have that work ethic. You need to get the hell out of your house and go and meet people and get on the road. It's the only way to do things. My morning reminder to myself is positive hustle integrity. Positive hustle integrity. Positive hustle integrity. It's a formula that I think works. And that's how I try to go through my day. New deal alert. During all of this, we being Sinclair Range, is seeking a going concern sale or financing for a machining and plastic injection mold company in Ontario that services automotive, consumer products, and aerospace. This is what's called a sales investment solicitation process. SISP is the acronym. The idea is, the company needs some money. It needs to do a deal and probably has to take out a creditor. I don't want to make this specific about this particular client, but in general, that's why sales processes happen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Come and say hi in the notes, all you people living in the chat, all of you listening in live. So we're doing a sales investment solicitation process. for this company. And Sinclair Range is running that deal. And it was amazing. The way you do this sort of deal is you do a teaser letter, which you can find on the sinclairrange.com website. By the way, is posted up there, I think in the LinkedIn Sinclair Range as well. But we sent out, so a teaser letter is a one-page, normally PDF, that says, hey, this is the company, this is the process, but it doesn't give enough names. It doesn't give you enough names as a recipient of that to really know what the hell's going on. It's intended to entice you to call in and say, hey, I'm interested in that deal. Can I sign a non-disclosure agreement, right? We sent out over 11,000 teaser letters on this deal right before Christmas. The staff knocked it out of the park. I think we've signed 16 NDAs over the holidays. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's been a great response. Anyways, this company, you can go read I won't read the teaser letter to you here on the live stream, but it was in trouble in automotive because everybody was in trouble in automotive. They pivoted to aerospace, which is a bit of the play in that manufacturing community for a number of companies. They're doing very, very well. They're now profitable. They're not burning cash, which is a thing you want to worry about as an investor in troubled businesses. And lo and behold, the automotive side is rebounding as well. So it's pretty cool, pretty good, cool little deal. Take a look at it on the Sinclair Range website. I wrote a blog post years ago, before podcasting, live streaming was a thing. Blog posts were a thing. And I used to blog. The Sinclair Range website to this day is a blog format, because I love that format for websites to make things dynamic. But years ago, I wrote a blog post, and I don't remember the exact title, but it was something along the lines of deals that die at the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement. And the concept was that non-disclosure agreements are pretty template agreements. They're standard, they're normal course. And if you get in a situation, which happens way more often than you think, where you're negotiating tooth and nail over an NDA, and your counterparty is like sending it to lawyers, and they're crossing stuff out, and they're putting in unreasonable language, like, why? You're never going to close a deal with that person. This is the NDA. What is going to happen when you get into a situation, when you go to the next steps and you have to do other agreements that are not standard, that are a little bit creative? Deals that die in the NDA. My idea is just walk away from it. And so that was a blog post that I did, and it became very, very popular because all deal makers have experienced the same thing. So people would write in, I go, oh yeah, I was just on a deal, and a similar sort of thing happens. I can't find that post now, but it was very, very popular. And if I can, I'm going to try and look for it again. If I can't find it, I will redo it and get it up on the social media and the website. I've written other popular blog posts, two of which were something along the lines of 10 rules for turning around a business and 10 rules for refinancing a troubled business, which, had some overlap, obviously. And both of those blog posts about 10 rules to turn around business or how to finance a troubled business started with the idea of admit you are in trouble. That's the first step. If you can't do that, admit that you're in trouble, admit it to yourself, admit it to outsiders, then you haven't really embraced the idea that you've hit rock bottom and you're not going to make decisions quickly, immediately. You're not going to do what it takes to get stuff done, to make the changes that have to happen to regain momentum, much about the theme of this show. And so you have to start by admitting that you are in trouble. As you know, we are involved in the distressed debt space. We help companies that are financially troubled, and we help go get them some capital. We represent lenders that lend into that sort of business. And so we're very much involved in that space in many countries in the world. And the one thing I always preach to my clients that are looking for this capital is that availability trumps cost of capital. If you're going bust, you can't pay your suppliers, you're worried about payroll, you need capital to buy a machine to be more efficient or just to generally turn around the business, and you're worried about I used to pay 18% for my money, and now you're asking me to pay 8% for my money, and now you're asking me to pay 15% for my money. Who cares? You need the cash. You don't have the cash. Do the math. Figure out the incremental interest in real dollars that you're paying, that you would be paying, and compare that to losing your business entirely and having your personal guarantee called. You need to, but you can't make that decision until you admit to yourself that you are in trouble. Sounds stupid, but you see companies fail over this issue all the time. They're unable to make a decision. They fight over non-disclosure agreements. They fight about advisor engagement letters, the fees going to the advisor. It's a success fee. I mean, there are some work fees, but predominantly it's a success fee to help turn around your business. They fight about the cost of capital. I don't want to pay that interest. They focus their fight on the things, their arguments, their negotiations on the things that they feel they can control and understand, because they've been involved in a bank deal before. They understand that. They think they can control that. What they don't focus their attention on is the train coming at them in the other direction. You need to admit you're in trouble. The rebirth starts when you do that. If you can't do that, and if you can do that, everything becomes obvious and easy. I'm dead if I don't do this deal. Do the deal. Let's move on to the next issue. Okay, that's the lesson of the week. By the way, the entire point of this show, as I said, is to invite you on the journey where I did this. Part of me admitting to myself coming out of my illness that I was in trouble was to create this show to tell you we're in trouble, to be open, to be honest, and to bring you on the journey. Because it's too easy to delude yourself. It's too easy to pretend that everything's okay. Everything was not okay. That's what the show is about. What did you do over the holidays? Did you work? Do you spend time with your family? Over the holidays I try to do those things, spend time with my family, obviously, but over the holidays is one of my favorite times to catch up on projects that I haven't had a chance to finish. You know, just stuff sort of outside the normal course of the day-to-day, and to reflect on the year that happened, reflect on the year going forward. And one major project I did not complete in 2025, to my embarrassment, is I did not finish the Pathway to Profit Academy that we promoted, we sold, people bought it. And this is, if you don't know, go to thescottsinclair.com. You can look up the Pathway to Profit Academy. This is the business, the most value-added business course, I think, anywhere available to you. It's 8 modules. It's based on my methodology for earning more profit and raising capital in any business. It's across the board. And each module is on average an hour. Some of them are too long. I may start reshooting those, but an hour, and a workbook comes with it. So it's really, 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 really good value, except I didn't finish it. People bought it. People ask about it, and it's supposed to be 8 modules. And we had released 4, and then Sinclair Range got so busy, I never got back to it. Well, over the holidays, I wrote the other 4 modules. I produced the next one. I'm going to finish off the workbook probably this evening or tomorrow morning. It'll be released Sunday or Monday, and that is awesome. And then maybe, and they're all written. So now I just need the video, do the workbooks for the remaining 3 after the 5th one is released, maybe 1 a week, 1 every 10 days. So I'm excited about that. And I'm not going to pre-market this course to you. I don't want to do that again and then get delayed by something else. But you can go check out thescottsinclair.com. And there we go. And the other thing I did over the holidays was some reflection. I don't know. I hope everybody does that. The year in the past and the year going forward. And part of that reflection is how I did and how Sinclair Range did under my leadership in 2025. You've been part of that. You have followed along. I don't know if I ever talked about a scorecard with you. I don't even know if it's even appropriate to talk about that. Should I talk numbers? Should I talk wealth? I don't know. Hey, Matt, thanks for joining us on Instagram. Anyways, look at, I have seen the All In podcast guys talk about wealth, so I figure it's fine. Like, I've never been a super wealthy guy. I spent most of my career as a professional, made a really good income, but wasn't creating a ton of wealth. And then I switched and I started creating wealth. And by my own scorecard, I was around mid 8 figures, somewhere in that range. That was my calculation. It wasn't liquid. It wasn't appraised. It wasn't valued. I don't really care if it's right or wrong. But by my scorecard, I was around that 50 mark. And then I got sick. And when I came out of being sick, I looked at that, I reevaluated that scorecard. And I thought, well, I'm no longer 50. I'm now like -7. This has really gone to shit. So that's a pretty big drop. I was not happy. I created a plan. I got back to work. You will recall, if you're a listener of the content, that in 2025, the theme of the year was defense wins championships. And the idea there was for me to focus on getting my house in order, eliminating the vulnerabilities that come from, that size of losses and the problems that come along with that. And, it takes longer than a year to get out of that hole and to eliminate those vulnerable. Why would I choose that word twice to say? To eliminate those risks. But 2025 went so well. Sinclair Range has been knocking it out of the park. It's been a tremendous success. We are killing it really in all markets. And after the first year of this, not even a full year, my scorecard now is around 0. I went from, I believe, +50 to -7 to 0. And the 0 to -7 to 0 has been in 1 year. It's been tremendous. And 2026 is going to be incredible. We have so much momentum right now. There's a reason that this podcast has been called the Winning Momentum Podcast. There's a reason that the Pathway to Profit Academy is really teaching the winning momentum methodology in businesses. This is it, man. This is it live, and it's working. We have well rounded the corner. 2026, we will be expanding. We'll be hiring. We'll be acquiring portfolio companies. We'll be deploying more capital into private credit. Buckle up, everybody. And that, where are we on time? 30 minutes, dead on. I love it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for all the kind words when people reach out. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I wish you all a really successful 2026. Reach out to us, to Sinclair Range, if you are a company in transition, if you need some cash, if you're experiencing high growth, if you're distressed, if you're doing deals, we're the people to come talk to. So reach out to us in the notes, or you'll figure it out. You'll figure out how to reach us. That is it for the week. Do I remember how to turn off this live stream? There we go. Right there. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.